Okay, earlier we have seen some of the programs which you can run on Raspberry Pi using Python. We have written the program, but now we are writing the program using Python only, but we are running that using Raspberry Pi and the other components which are interfaced to the Raspberry Pi. The components which are interfaced are like push button, LEDs, sensors, etc. So such programming, how to interface the components to the Raspberry Pi and how to write programs and run it, let us see, and let us see their outputs too. Now, the first program what we are looking at here is to print some message on a terminal. So it is our tradition to write a program, beginning program to display hello world message, right? So here also we are writing a program to display hello world message. So here the components what we require are Raspberry Pi SD card along with SD card, then monitor, you can see here, HDMI cable, keyboard and mouse and power supply are the components required for this program. Then the description goes like this. With a basic example of printing message hello world using Python programming. So how to write the programming, what are the steps we need to follow are like this, the key points. Find your customized Raspberry Pi, then mount the SD card which we have seen in the earlier class, right, formatting and mounting and all. Then plug in the HDMI cable into the Pi and the monitor. Then plug in the keyboard, then plug in the mouse and power cable. Then type in username Pi and the password is Raspberry as we have seen earlier. Then double click on the terminal and this will load the terminal where you can write the program. Then you have to follow the commands, like you have to change the directory to desktop, then create a new directory, Python code, so that we can store all our programs in this directory. So create a new directory, mkdir and Python code. Mkdir is for make directory, so you will create a new directory by make directory command and the name of the directory is Python code. Then from your current directory you need to change to the Python code directory, so you will use the cd command which is here. The cd command you will use and cd python code, then create a new file. Under Python code you will create a new file where you can write the program helloworld.py. So the Python program will have py as the extension, right? So you have to create a file helloworld.py and then you have to enter the code which you need to run on the Raspberry Pi. Then run the Python code using the command sudo python and the name of the file. How do you run a program? You run a program by using the command sudo python and the name of the program where you have written the program to be executed. So what is the sudo? Sudo is a Linux command. It is a Linux command line command actually used to temporarily increase the privileges of a user to run or install the program. Okay, so temporarily, sudo means false, right? So false privileges for temporary period will be given to the user for running a program or installing a program. The privileges are given. Okay, then we will see after running that program, we'll see hello world message on the screen. So let us see how you can write the program. Okay, this is the program you write in the file. The name of the file is helloworld.py. In that file you will write this code and the code contains only 3 lines. Here the first line, what you can see here is the first line is to ensure the correct interpreter used by your program to run. Okay, so that is called as an interpreter line. So we are writing a Python program, so binary file of Python need to be accessed. So that path we are giving here. Then we are writing a message, print hello world. You know that hash is used for writing comments, right? Whatever it follows after the hash will become a comment. So now this is a comment which says the program is to print hello world, and this is the actual program code, only single line. So here this line print hello world will print the message. Let us see how you can run this program. So you can run this program on the command line like this. So as we discussed, you will give the command sudo python and name of the file, and then here you can see hello world is the output which is printed on the console. So this is how the hello world program you can run on the Raspberry Pi Python. Next program is to blink an LED. So first we will see how to blink an LED once, and then we will see continuous blinking, how we can enhance that program for forever blinking. So here what we require, the components required are Raspberry Pi with SD card, monitor with HDMI cable, keyboard, mouse and power supply, and we need one red LED and one blue LED and two resistors each of 1K. So that is the requirement for this program. Then we will use the GPIO pins. We have discussed earlier what is GPIO pins, right? General purpose input output pins. Both for input or output we can use those pins. So the pins, GPIO pins 17 and 27 are used for connecting the LEDs. We have taken one red LED and one blue LED, right? So for connecting those LEDs we use pin number 17 and pin number 27. They are initialized as output pins. The state of LED is toggled by executing two programs. One is for glowing, the other one is for blinking. Okay, so let us see the code. So here the connections need to be done like this. So this is the Raspberry Pi board. So from the Raspberry Pi board, these are the GPIO pins. For which pin number 17 and 27, you can see here this is pin number 17 and this is pin number 27, which are connected to LEDs through the blue line and the magenta line, you can see here. So those wired connections are given for these LEDs, and to the other end of the LED there will be a resistor connected. So we have seen that the components required are 1K, two resistors of 1K each. So those resistors to the other end of the LED are connected, and then so here the ground connection and the power connection are given. So to the ground connection the resistors at other end are connected, and power connection will be providing the power to the whole breadboard. Okay, so this is how the connections are made. So now let us see how you can write the program for making the LED glow. So here this is as usual our interpreter line. Then we are importing RPI. RPI is Raspberry Pi. Okay, Raspberry Pi .gpio as GPIO. So this is represented by this name GPIO. Instead of writing RPI.gpio, we can simply write GPIO. So now this line is for importing the GPIO module of Raspberry Pi. So then the next line GPIO.set mode GPIO BCM. So this is for setting the mode to represent the numbering scheme you prefer. So what is this BCM? BCM is Broadcom SOC channel for pins, SOC channel pins. Okay, so we have seen in the previous class Broadcom system on chip channel pins. So to access those pins we make use of this set mode GPIO and BCM. Then GPIO.cleanup. So this GPIO.cleanup means it will return all channels you have used back to inputs. So earlier whatever the inputs you have given, all those things will be cleared. Then GPIO.set warnings to false. You will set the warnings to false. So why we need to set the warning false is, says again and again it may be keep giving warnings which will be annoying. So in order to avoid that, we will set the warnings to false. Okay, then next statement is GPIO set up 17 GPIO.out, means the pin number 17 is set as an output pin because we are connecting it to a LED, and GPIO again same statement with setup, but the pin number is 27 because we need to connect another LED. So another LED connection with 27 pin, so it is also set as output pin. Then we will write a code to print a message lights on. So after that, GPIO.output 17. So here you are giving the output 17 on the pin number 17 GPIO.high. So on the pin number 17 value will be high, so that it will make the LED which is connected to the pin number 17 glow. Okay, so here the pin number 17, the LED which is connected, if the pin number 17 is having the value high, that LED which is connected to that pin will be high, means it will glow. Similarly with the other LED which is connected to the 27 pin. Okay, so when 27 pin also you make high, the LED which is connected to 27 pin will also glow. This is how you write the program. I hope you understood how it is done. First we will take two pins 17 and 27 and we will make them as output pins. Then we will pass the value high on those pins, which will make the LEDs which are connected onto those pins glow. Okay, so that is how the execution will be done. Let us execute this program. So before that, let us see LED on program. So here it is the same thing actually, but here if you make this 17 and 27 low, it will go low. Okay, so high means it will glow, but if you say low, it will be turned off. So these are the components which we require for connecting. This is the breadboard. These are the connecting wires, male and female. Then we will be seeing other programs also for which the components required are. So this is an IPR sensor. This is a buzzer. This is a push button. This is a light sensor. Okay, these are the resistors. Okay, this is temperature sensor. This is light sensor. So these are all the components we'll be using in our upcoming programs. So as of now, we'll be using these LEDs and resistors and the connecting wires and the breadboard. So let us see the connections. So here, while connecting the LED, you have to keep track of negative and positive leg. So the leg which is little small will be a negative leg, and the leg which will be little big than the negative leg is a positive leg. So here the connections are made like this from pin number 17 and 27. The connections for LEDs are done and the resistors are connected, and the other end of the resistors are connected to ground. The power cable, red cable, is connected to the breadboard. That's all. Okay, so those are the connections which are made from Raspberry Pi to the LEDs. So these are the connections you will be doing. Then we will be executing the program by using the same sudo python command and the name of the program where you have written that program. You will execute, and after executing, you can see here the LEDs will glow. So one is red LED, another one is a blue LED. Both of them will glow because we have given in this program, when we execute the program, when we put the value high on 27 and 17 pins, it will make the LED glow. So that is what we are seeing here. The LEDs are glowing. Now LED blink program. LED blink program means for some time the LEDs will glow, for some time the LEDs will be off. Again it will be on, again it will be off. So such kind of program we can write here like this. So similar program is written here, RPI, GPO as GPIO as GPIO. These things are same, and here we are importing another package called time. So this time is used because we have to give some delay between the on and off values given to the LED. For some time it should be on, for some time it should be off. So that delay should be given. For that purpose we are making use of this time package. And here set mode GPIO BCM. So this we have discussed. Then set warnings to false. Then set 17 and 27 as output pins. Then for turning on the LEDs. So now for turning on the LEDs, here GPIO output 17 GPIO dot high. So again 17 and 27 are given the value high. Then when they are high, they should be high for some time. So what is that time is given here. Time dot sleep means a delay is introduced here. So time dot sleep for 1 second. 1 is a parameter for sleep, which indicates that it should be high for 1 second. After that the LEDs are off. Okay, turn the LEDs off by giving the value low on the pins 17 and 27. You will be giving the value low, which will make the LEDs off. For how much time? Again for 1 second. Again it will be high. So high for 1 second, low for 1 second, again high for another second. Okay, so it will be high. Initially it will be low, then it becomes high, then low, and then high. So it is one time blinking. If you want this action, okay, again it is low. So continuation of the program is there. So high, low for each 1 second. So this program will make the LED go high, low, high, low. So that way it will work. Okay, let us see how we will execute the program and see the output. So again we will say sudo python 3blink.py, that is the name of the program. So now when you say execute it, it will become high. Then for 1 second it will be high, then it will go low for another second. So then another second it will be high, then 1 second it will be high, and then it will go low. Okay, it will be like this. So initially it will be low, it will go high, then low, then high, and then low again. So this is the output of the program. But now permanently after glowing 2 times and going off 2 times, it will be off permanently. But if you want to create an effect of LED which is continuously blinking, for that let us see the program how blinking forever can be done with those LEDs. So now here the same program we are writing. So we are making this 17 and 27 pins as output pins. Warnings are set to false. Then we have set mode BPIO to BCM. Then we have imported RPI.GPIO. Then we have imported the time, so that we need to create a delay. Then the code which we have seen, 17 and 27 are set to high and 17 and 27 are set to low with 1 second delay each, and that will be repeated again and again. High for 1 second, low for another second, high for 1 second, low for another second. Like that it will be continuously executing in an indefinite loop. So here while 1 means while true, and you also note this indentation here. That means all these statements will be executed under this while loop. So while true means it is indefinite loop, it will be keep repeating these statements forever. So now high, low, it will be continuously executing. Okay, so you can see the output here. When you execute the program forever.py, it will be blinking. Okay, like this forever it will be blinking continuously. Okay, then the next program is to introduce a push button into the Raspberry Pi and then make use of the push button to make the LEDs glow and turn off. Okay, this program of making use of push button with Raspberry Pi. So here this is the push button which is placed here in the breadboard. Then a resistor is connected with that and it is connected to the power, and also the other end is connected to the ground. Okay, and also this is connected to a pin number 10. Push button is connected to pin number 10. You can see this GPIO pin number 10, which is connected to the push button. Okay, so then you can see the push button internal design will be like this. It is having 4 pins, 1, 2, 3, it is having 4 pins, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and there is a circuit in between. When you press the push button, the circuit will close and it will make the operations. So here the connections physically will be done like this. You can see this is the push button. The resistor is connected. Push button is connected to the Raspberry Pi, and also the other end is connected to the ground, and resistor is also connected. So now here this push button is to activate the push button, the code is written like this. So here this is the interpreter line, then import OS. We are making use of OS package. This import OS module will let you use the commands on the OS operating system. Then import time for delay, then GPIO, then BCM, which we have seen earlier, so I am not repeating it here. Then set warnings to false, and now here you can see the setup for pin number 10 is done and it is taken as an input pin. It is set as an input pin, right? GPIO.setup pin number 10 is set as an input pin, GPIO.in. Then this message will be displayed, button plus GPIO. That message as it is will be printed on the screen. Then print GPIO dot input of 10. So what it will print? It will print the current button status. So whether it is on or it is off, that current button status will be printed. After that we are creating an infinite loop with while true. Then GPIO dot input of button 10 equal to false. That means the push button is not pressed. Then it will say, but okay, sorry, false means it is pressed. So print button pressed, and then it will display the os.system. So os we have imported here, right? So that os.system function is called. Using that system function, you can execute the commands on the command line. So whatever the command line commands we execute, cat, cal, date, time, echo, etc. So those commands you can execute using system. So this system function you can also try it in C. It will work. The command line operations you can execute in C program also. os.system date, that will be, if button is pressed, it will display the date indicating that the button is pressed. Okay, then GPIO input 10, then it will be sleeping for 5 seconds. Otherwise it will clear the screen. Say again, system function is called to clear the screen, and it will be waiting for you to press the button and wait for some time. Okay, so this will be repeated again and again until you exit. Okay, here the same thing is explained. Okay, here when you execute that program, it will say waiting for you to press the button. So now here through the pen we are pressing the push button. So after you press the push button here, then it will display the date, because it will execute the date command, right? So here you can see in the code we have written, when you press the button, then it will display the date. Okay, so same thing happens here. It is waiting for you to press a button. So this message is here, right? If it is, if false, it will be pressed. Otherwise, it will go to else part and clear the screen, and it will display the message waiting for you to press a button. So that is what it is displaying here, waiting for you to press a button. Then after you press the button, it will say button pressed and the date command is executed. Okay, that is how the push button works. So now let us see how you can give user inputs to the command. So push button. So here we have taken two variables, LED choice and count, and both are initialized to 0. And now you will call the os.system clear for clearing the screen. Then you will print which LED you would like to blink. So we have two LEDs, right? One is red, the other one is blue. So which one you would like to make blink? Okay, so that input we are taking, that is user input. So we will accept the user input, which LED the user wants to glow. So then blink, so that LED we will take. So a user will enter 1 for making the red LED blink, or user will enter 2 for making the blue LED blink. So after looking at this message, user will enter some message which will be accepted by the input function. So input function is telling choose your option. So that message will be displayed and user input will be accepted, which will be in turn stored in LED choice. Then, okay, see here, which LED you would like to blink. Then it is giving the option, 1 is red, 2 is blue. Then choose your option. So 2 is given here. So likewise you can execute the program, and you can also improvise this program like if the LED choice is equal to 1, then clear the output screen and then print you picked the red LED. So 1 is for red, right? So it will display you pick the red LED, and count equal to input. How many times you would like the LED to blink? So how many times? 5 times, 10 times? That will be given as input by the user, which will be stored in the count. So now this loop will be executed for repeating the blinking of red LED for some amount of time. How many times that user have entered? Suppose let us say user enters 5. So count is 5. So while loop will be executed 5 times. 5 greater than 0. Until then it will be executing. Each time count is decremented by 1 until it reaches 0. This loop will be executed. So here GPIO output 27. 27 is the red LED connected to 27 pin. So it is made high, and then for 1 second, and then 27 on the 27 pin where the red LED is connected, it will be made low. That means it will be off. When it is high, it will be on for 1 second. When it is low, it will be off for another second. Then one time it is blinked here and count is made decremented by 1, and then again it will go back. So this indentation, you can see all these statements are coming under this while loop. So it will go back to this while loop and say so now when 5 is decremented by 1, it will be 4. So 4 is again satisfying the condition. Like that it will be glowing it will be blinking one more time. So it will be repeated for 5 times. So similarly here you can see if LED choice is 2, that means the blue LED, then clear the screen, then you pick the blue LED, that statement will be printed, and how many times you would like the LED to blink, that will be accepted and stored in count variable. And in the while loop, count greater than 0, this 17th pin, here we have taken 27 pin because we are taking the red LED. Here we are taking the 17th pin because we are taking the blue LED, and 17th pin is made high then for 1 second, and again it is made low for another second, again count is decremented. So like that it goes on. Same way with 17th pin will be executed. Let us see how the output will be seen of this program. So which LED would you like to blink? That will be taken as input. So user have to enter 1 for red and 2 for blue. So choose your option. User have chosen 1. Okay, so here 1 is given as the input. So which LED to be glown? Red LED is to be on, right? So red LED is on. So red LED is on now. So now how many times you would like the LED to blink? So it is 3 times. Okay, it is 3 times. It has to blink. So the LED will blink 3 times with 1 second delay, like okay, so like this 3 times it will blink. Next time when you say which LED you would like to blink, you choose the LED 2, which is blue LED. So when you choose blue LED will be on. So again it will ask how many times you would like the blue LED to blink. Again user gives 3. So now blue LED to be on 3 times. So it will be again 3 times blinking with 1 second delay, like okay, like this 3 times it will be blinking. The next experiment is connecting the buzzer. So here you can see this buzzer is connected to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, the buzzer is connected here to the pin number 22. Okay, to the pin number 22 of the Raspberry Pi, the buzzer is connected. One end of the buzzer is connected to the pin number 22 of the Raspberry Pi, and the other end of the buzzer is connected to the ground. Okay, then here pin number 22 is pin number 22 is here. So to that pin number 22 buzzer is connected. The program written is like this. So as usual we will make use of that import voice, import time, import rpi.gpio as GPIO, then GPIO set mode to GPIO BCM, then warnings to false, then you set now here you set the pin number 22 as output pin because it is a buzzer, it has to produce the voice. Okay, it will be producing beeps, let us say. Okay, so it is producing the beep which you need to be heard, so it is an output, it is a voice audio output. So pin number 22 is set as an output pin. Okay, so then loop count here, and a variable is taken which is set to value 0. Now we are writing a function here. So function is always started with def, right, and it has a set of parentheses, and the colon indicates that the continuation is there, and this indentation will indicate that it is part of this function. So let us see what is there in Morse code function. So here this part, so you can see this part is dot dot dot, means the voice generated by the buzzer will be dot dot dot. That means the 3 beeps will be generated. Okay, so how it will be generated? So here GPIO output on 22 pin is high for how long? It is 0.1. Sleep is for 0.1. So 0.1 sleep means it is for 100 milliseconds. Okay, 0.1 sleep means it is for 100 milliseconds it will be sleeping. Then again after 100 milliseconds it will say again 22 it should be low. Okay, so for 100 milliseconds it will be high, means one beep will be generated for 100 milliseconds, a very small beep, and then it will be low for another 100 milliseconds. Then again it will be generating one more beep for 100 milliseconds. Then it will go low for another 100 milliseconds. Then it will be high. So the beep generated will be like this. So 3 beeps will be generated. I'll show you the output also. Okay, that is ... So next one is this code, which is ... So we'll see what is that -- means. It is a little longer beep than ... Okay, so -- is having code like this: GPIO.output. So 22 pin is low for 0.2. 0.2 means here it is 200 milliseconds. Okay, little longer beep than the dot. Okay, dash is little longer beep than the dot. Okay, so now here it will be low for 200 milliseconds, then it will be made high for 200 milliseconds, it will be low for 200 milliseconds, high for 200 milliseconds, low, high, low. So like it will be repeated for some seconds like this. So beep will be little longer than that. So such sound will be generated with little longer delay than the dot. Okay, again, so we have 3 portions here, right? ... again ... So again this ... is this code only. So it will be like this. The beeps will be generated like this. And you can see here, after that, clear, Morse code, then loop count. How many times would you like the SOS to loop? That will be taken, and it will be decremented each time. The connections are made like this. This is a buzzer which is connected here on the breadboard. 2 ends, one is connected to the Raspberry Pi and the other end is connected to the ground. So now Morse code, how many times would you like the SOS to loop? So user input is 3, so 3 times it need to be repeated. So it will give the buzzer 3 times. Okay, I will show you how actually the beep will be generated.
Print to screen the question: how many times would you like the SOS, the Morse code, to loop? Press that, and it will beep 3 times. Now, if you want to...
Okay, that is how the beep goes 3 times. ... -- 3 times it will repeat. That is how the program is executed for activating and interfacing the buzzer with Raspberry Pi. Here we'll see how a temperature sensor is interfaced with Raspberry Pi and how the program is written and executed. This is the temperature sensor which is interfaced with the Raspberry Pi and with a resistor. The connections are made like this. So here this temperature sensor will sense the temperature and will place in a file, and that file need to be traced, go to that location, and the value from the file need to be read, and then it need to be converted to degree centigrade, and then it need to be displayed. So for that purpose we are writing the program. The program goes like this. So as you can see here, we have import OS for executing system function, then import globe. So this glob means it is a module which finds all the path names matching a specified pattern. As I said, the data will be available in a file and we need to read it. So this glob will be helpful for us to find the path names matching with a given specified pattern according to the rules used by the Unix shell. So same way it will find. Then import time for delay operations. Then initialize the device. So here system mod probe wire 1 GPIO wire 1 thermal. So this wire 1, so one wire or wire 1 device is a device communication bus system that provides low speed data signaling and power over a single conductor. So that is the temperature sensor here. So then here these three lines what we have here, so these three lines. So these three lines will be used for finding out the file from which the readings messages can be read. The temperature message can be read from this file. So here device folder will be found and then device file will be found. That device file we will be using for reading the temperature content. So then we have this def read temp raw. So this def read temp raw is a function which fetches 2 lines of message from the interface. Okay, this is a function which fetches 2 lines of message from the interface by opening function device file in read mode, and whatever it reads will be stored in F, and then from there F it will read the lines and store in lines, and then it will close and return the lines which are read here to wherever this function is called. So here you can see what will be there in that file. So these 2 lines, okay, these 2 lines will be there in that file which will be read. Okay, so now this read temperature function will read the temperature from calling this read temp raw, and then it will see like here it will check for yes. If there is a yes strip function, it will use for that. Strip function will return a copy of the string by removing both leading and trailing characters based on the arguments passed. So here last 3 characters are yes or not, it is checking. So as we discussed here, last 3 characters are yes in the first line, you can see. So that it is checking here. So last 3 characters are yes. Line 0 means first line, last 3 characters are yes. Then it will fetch the data where t equal to some value. So here you can see t equal to some value, that is the read temperature raw data, that will be converted to a format and will be printed. So that is discussed here. So that accepting and retrieving and converting of temperature will be done here in this part. So this function returns 2 values. The first is being the temperature in degrees and the second one is the temperature in the Fahrenheit. Then this loop, main loop of the program, simply loops reading the temperature and printing it. So continuously it reads the temperature of the room and keeps printing it before it sleeps for a second. So it reads the value, prints it, sleeps for a second, then reads the value and prints it, sleeps for a second. So like that it is indefinitely executing, looping. So this is the temperature sensor which has 3 pins. This pin 3 is power pin, this middle pin is the pin 2 which is data pin, and the pin 1 is the ground pin. The connections are made like this. Here the temperature sensor is placed, the wires are closed, you are not able to see it properly. So then after this you will execute the program. After you execute the program, so you can see here cat w1 slave. If you read the value, it will be these 2 lines. Okay, these 2 lines you can see in this file which will be fetched from the program. After that you execute sudo python temperature.py So then it keeps executing. See, it will read the temperature, display, see, sleeps for 1 second, then read the temperature and display, sleeps for another second, reads the temperature and display another second. Like that it keeps looping. So it will simply keep reading the temperature and printing it. See, when the finger is kept near the temperature sensor, it will slightly increase the temperature. That you can notice here, right? It is initially on an average 76, 77 till 79, but when the finger is kept near the temperature sensor, the temperature little increases. So that you can notice here in these readings. Okay, that is all for today. Have a good day. We'll meet in the next class. Okay, now we'll see how the light dependent resistor can be connected to the Raspberry Pi. So here we are studying about the light dependent resistor, and this is the picture of the light dependent resistor. That is how it looks. The program here we are studying is to use the LDR sensor, which reads the intensity of light and records it in a text file. This resistor will read the intensity of light and records it in a text file. So this is a light dependent resistor. That means more the resistance to the light, more the voltage the voltage can flow through it. So that is we are calculating the voltage, how much amount of voltage it is flowing through when the light different intensities of lights are passed on it. So let us see how we can make use of this light dependent resistor. So here the connections are made like this. We can see here the connections. This is the light dependent resistor, which is connected along with the capacitor. Capacitor one end is grounded, the other end is connected to the one of the ends of the light dependent resistor, and one end of the light dependent resistor is connected to the power supply, and the other end of the resistor is connected through this wire to the Raspberry Pi. You can see through here it is going here, moving. So it will reach the connections are made here. It is pin number 3 of the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so one end of the resistor is connected to the power supply, the other end is connected to the GPIO of Raspberry Pi, pin number 3, and the resistor is capacitor is also connected. So these are the connections made here. So here you can see this is the pin number 3 in the pin diagram. This is pin number 3 to which the light dependent resistor is connected. This is the program we are writing for finding the light intensity, how much light is passed through the resistor, and we are calculating it. So this is the program we are writing. So let us see the program here. So this part of the program which we have already discussed, import OS. So here we are taking date and time to display date and time. So time is for introducing the delay. Then RPI.GPIO as GPIO, we have seen this to make use of GPIO pins. And set warnings is set to false in order to avoid annoying warnings. Then there is a flag debug which is set to 1. Then GPIO.set mode is GPIO.BCM, that is Broadcom. Then here we are writing a function. Okay, this is a function which is designed to set up the GPIO pins. Okay, this function is used to set up the GPIO pins. So here we can see reading is a variable which is set to 0, local variable. The name of the function is RC time. Name of the function is RC time, and it is taking one parameter RC pin. Okay, so what is this RC pin? It is the name of the variable which is accepting the value when the function is called. So where the function is called, you can see here here RC time of 3. The function RC time is called here and the parameter passed is 3. So when you pass that 3 to RC time, it will reach this RC pin. That value 3 will reach the RC pin, which will be made use of in this function. Okay, so then reading equal to 0, then GPIO dot setup GPIO dot setup equal RC pin comma GPIO out. That means this RC pin, which is pin number 3, which is passed as a parameter here, will be received here and which will be set as an output pin. Okay, the pin number 3 is set as an output pin. Then for that output pin, what value we are setting is low. Okay, on that output pin, the value set is low. Then a delay is introduced. Then GPIO dot setup RC pin GPIO in. So then it will be made as input pin. So first it will be made as output pin and there it is set to low, and now it is made as an input pin. So we know that GPIO pins can be made as both input and output pin. So now the same pin is made as an input pin and here a loop is executed. So this loop takes about 1 millisecond per iteration. Okay, so in 1 millisecond, one iteration of this loop will be executed. Okay, one iteration of this loop will be executed. What is this loop? While GPIO dot input of RC pin equal to low. So when it is low, here we have already made it low, right? So we are checking here when it is equal to low, reading plus equal to 1. That means, so here that resistor, when light falls on it, it keeps increasing its value, that is this GPIO pin value, until it reaches a high value. Okay, it keeps increasing its value until it reaches a threshold high value. It keeps increasing. Okay, so then when it reaches some threshold, it will take that value as the final value, means that voltage can pass through it. Okay, so that it every time until it becomes high, until it reaches the threshold, the reading keeps incrementing by 1. So after the GPIO becomes high, then that reading value will be sent as a output from the function, return value of the function. Okay, so first we will set it to low, then after 1 second it will be made as an input pin, and then it will be checked whether it is equal to low, and then if it is equal to low, it will be incremented until it becomes high each time. So one iteration of the loop will be 1 millisecond. So very fast it will detect the light and it will reach the threshold and give you a value what voltage it can pass through it. Okay, so that is how this loop is executed. So that is this loop. Okay, so this is the same explanation. So this is the function, this is the loop. Okay, now this is this part. Okay, this part, what we have another while loop here is explained here. While true means it will become an infinite loop. Okay, while true means it will become an infinite loop. So when it is true, get date and time. So we need to get the date and time in this format. Okay, so this is for taking now, means current time we will take in this format, that is YMD, year, month, date format, and hour, minute, second format. In this format, date and time will be taken and will be stored in get date and time, get date time variable. Then LDR reading equal to RC time of 3. So this is where we are calling the function. Okay, this is where we are calling the RC time function, and whatever the value it returns, this reading value, what reading value this function is returning, that will be stored in this LDR reading. Okay, so then that LDR reading will be printed here. Okay, so the RC time of 3, that will be printed. Then we need to open a file, because we have seen that it will store that value in a file. We need to store that value in a file, what reading has been taken by that light detection register. So then we have to open a file. We have taken a variable FO to handle that file. So open the file. The name of the file is given in this path. The name of the file is foo.txt, which is residing in home, py, desktop, GPIO Python code, foo.txt. This is the name of the file, and this is the whole path of the file, and this file will be opened in WB mode. What is this WB mode? WB mode means write binary. So we have seen read mode, write mode, read write mode, isn't it? So this is WB mode, which is write binary. So this file will be opened in write mode, and what we can write the binary data. Okay, so that will be opened, and the handle is FO for this file. Okay, so then FO.write means this file will be handled here by FO, and it is accessed for writing. What we are writing? Get date time. So what we have accepted here in this format, that will be written onto this file. Okay, so then LDR reading equal to STR of LDR reading. So what is this STR of LDR reading? This value which we have received from this file, reading value, that will be converted to string format and is stored in LDR reading. Okay, this is just string format conversion, and then just write a /n. So first it will write the current date and time in the file, then it will take a /n, means it will go to the next line. In the next line it will write LDR reading, which is converted to the string format. Okay, what data we have received from the function RC time, that will be written into the file here by this statement. Okay, after that we will have to close the opened file by using fo.close. So it will close the file, then time.sleep1. It will wait for 1 second and program ends. So now what value we have read from the light resistor, that is also displayed on the screen because of this, and also written into the file. Okay, so let us see how this program executes. So here okay, this is same explanation what I just gave you. Okay, these are the connections, how on the board it is made. This is the light dependent resistor, capacitor. One end is connected to the ground, the other end is connected through this wire to the Raspberry Pi, and the capacitor is connected. So now we will have to execute. For executing, first we will create the foo.txt. So here that foo.txt is existing. Then we will use the sudo python command for execution of the file, sudo python and name of the file. Then in the normal light, what we are seeing here in the normal light, the values given are 80, 78, 80, 78, because little variation in the light intensity happens. So approximate values 80, 78, 79 is being displayed one after the other. The readings will be keep displaying because it is an infinite loop, right? In the last program we have seen this is an infinite loop, so it keeps repeating. Okay, so it will keep printing the values, reading values in the file also as well as on the screen also. So it keeps printing one after the other. So here in the normal light, but when you put, see, like from the mobile, flashlight is on and it is placed on the resistor, so then it will take it will not allow much voltage to flow through it, so the value is little decreased. When it is exposed to the light, the reading will be decreased. Okay, so previous reading is around 80, 79, 80, but now it is decreased. Okay, Then when you make it complete dark, okay, there is no light, then again it is increasing. See here, 83, 89, around 90. The maximum recorded value is 90. So till 90 it reached. Okay, so this is how the light dependent resistor is resisting the light and allowing the voltage to flow through it. So more the resistance, more the voltage can flow through it. So by looking at these values, it makes it clear. So now again, if you put some light on the resistor, so now you can see the voltage readings are less, and so it got decreased. So now it was 88, 89, 90, but after you put some light on the resistor, the voltage value gets decreased. So that is how the light dependent resistor works. Is that clear? So we have also seen that we are not only displaying the reading on the screen, but we are also storing it in a file, right? So we'll see how the value is stored in a file. So look at more foo.txt to display the contents of the file foo.txt. So here the date and time in the format which we had given in the program, right? So you can see here in this format we had taken the date and time, and it was written into the file, right? And also the reading is written onto the file in the next line. So that output you can see here. So first line the date and time, in the next line the last reading of the resistor will be recorded in the file. So that is how it works. The next one is the passive infrared sensor, which is interfaced to the Raspberry Pi. So these sensors will allow you to sense motion of an object. So motion detection. This is used for motion detection. If anything, any object comes in front of this sensor, it will detect. So this is used to detect whether a human has moved in or out of the sensor's range. So within the range of the sensor, if any object or human is detected, it will if any human or object comes in the range of the sensor, then it will detect the motion of the object or the human. So let us see how you can interface it with the Raspberry Pi. So these are the connections made here. You can see it has 3 pins. Okay. So in the previous slide we have seen, no, it has 3 pins. Yeah, here it has 3 pins, right? So what these 3 pins are connected to? So these 3 pins are connected to, one is connected to the power supply with red cable, you can see. The other one is connected with a black cable for the ground, and the middle one, which is the yellow color wire, which is connected to the GPIO of the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so one is for the power supply, another is for the ground, and the center one, middle one is for the GPIO connection of the Raspberry Pi. So that is how the connections are made, and this is the program written. So here in this program we can see these things we already have discussed. This is the interpreter line, then this is the GPIO settings, then time for delay introduction, then set mode Broadcom, then warnings are set to false, then set up 27 GPIO.out. Do you remember this 27 pin and 17 pin? Both we have connected LEDs, right? We had connected LEDs for 27 pin and 17 pin. So here also we are using that connection. 27 pin is set as output pin. So why we are using LED here is, whenever a motion is detected by the sensor, then LED will also glow. So such a kind of a program we are writing here. Hence this 27th pin LED connection is also made use of in this program. Okay, then gpio.underscore PIR is a variable which is set for the value 7 pin number. Then it will print PIR module test control C to exit. Okay, this is just a normal message which will be displayed on the screen. Then the setup, that is the pin number 7 is made as an input pin. Okay, so motion need to be detected, right? So it is made as an input pin. Then we have two more variables, current state and previous state, which are set to 0. Okay, current state and previous state which are set to zeros. So why we need this current state and previous state is, current state means if motion is detected now, then it is changed. Okay, the current state is changed, but previous state we also have to keep track of. So we will see how it is made use of in the program. Okay, so here we have a try block. So where we have the code print waiting for PIR to settle. Okay, passive infrared to settle, while that is a message which will be displayed. This will be a message which will be displayed while GPIO.input of GPIO PIR equal to 1. That means if any motion is detected, if it becomes 1, till then current state is set to 0. Okay, current state until any motion is detected, current state will be set to 0. Then you say print ready, we are ready for accepting the input to detect the motion. Okay, so then here the infinite loop starts. Then current state equal to whatever the input we get from that pin number 7, that will be stored in the current state. And if current state is equal to 1 and previous state equal to 0. Okay, so previous state means any previous detected, if previously motion is detected, then it will be 1, right? So if it is 0, current state is 1 and previous state is 0. Previously no motion is detected, currently motion is detected, then we print the statement motion detected. Okay, previous 0, current 1, so motion is detected. Okay, so motion is detected, that statement will be printed. Then GPIO output 27th pin will be set high, that means the LED will be set to high value, means it will glow for 1 second. Then LED will be off. Okay, it will be set to low value, then LED will be off. Then previous state will be set to 1 because it has detected a motion, so previous state will be set to 1. Otherwise, if this is not the case, if current state is not 1 and previous state is not 0, else if current state is 0 and previous state is 1, means previously already motion is detected, then we have to print ready and set the previous state to 0. Okay, so now we have to be ready again for accepting the new input. So we will set the previous state to 0 and we will print a message ready and 0.01 millisecond, 1 millisecond it will sleep for. Then accept keyboard interrupt, then print quit, then clean up. So this is how the program execute. So did you understand? If it will be current state will be 0, previous state will be 0. If any input is detected on this pin number 7, it will be 1. Then current state will be 1. So if current state is 0, we will say ready. If current state is 1 and previous state is 0, we will print motion detected, then LED will glow for 1 second, then LED will be off, then previous state will be set to 1. But if previous state is 1, that means motion is already detected, and current state is 0, means no motion now, then we will say ready and we will set the previous state to 0 and we will wait for the input. Okay, so that is how the PIR sensor will work. So this is the PIR sensor. pins back side of the PIR sensor. The 3 pins which you can see here, this is for the VCC, that is power supply, this is for the ground, and this is for the output which is connected to the GPIO of the Raspberry Pi. So now let us see how execution happens. So here this is the PIR sensor placed. So no motion as of now, you can see here no motion. So it is still. So what it will display, PIR module test, Control C to exit, waiting for PIR to settle, then it will say ready. Okay, so now it is ready to detect the motion. So now when a hand is placed in front of the PIR sensor, then it will display motion detected. So some obstacle comes in front of the PIR sensor, then it will say motion detected. So that is how the PIR sensor will be used. So they are also very simple programs, right? So you can easily execute them on simulation softwares, or you can, if you have your Raspberry Pi, so you can execute them, sensors and all. You can using hardware components also you can execute. So whatever I have discussed so far, all these execution screenshots and connection screenshots and the program screenshots, I would like to acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge Codecademy. I have taken these screenshots from their video. So they are very good videos, a set of videos where all these programs are discussed. I will share the link with you in the Google Classroom. Please go through it, and if possible, please try to implement. So in Tinkercad also you can implement the software, you can implement these programs. Please implement them and check. So it will be real fun. Okay, so they are so nice programs, so well, so easy programs, Python programs you can easily understand and execute. So here it completes the discussion of Raspberry Pi. Then we are left with only smart city architecture, which we will see in the next class. Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye.